Sewer Commission meeting call to order Wednesday, December 10th, 2014, 7 p.m. In attendance, Commissioner Higgins, Commissioner Demko, Administrative Secretary Liz Welch, Randy Sylvester, DPW Superintendent, and Steve Dempsey, Supervisor, Sewer Commission. Also, Kurt Schultz from the Health Board. And it's going to be recorded by Tom Patch. You had a chance to look at the minutes?
I did. I read through the minutes, and there wasn't anything in there. Everything was pretty good. Thank you, Liz. Good job as usual. I don't think there's anything new really on any of the stuff, so I think we can proceed, I guess.
I guess we can proceed then.
Yep.
You make a motion, accept the minutes.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Okay.
minutes accepted. We'll go into the first agenda item, a review process for sewer regulations.
Steve Peterson is stuck in traffic.
Yeah, is he gonna review it?
Yeah, he will be. He should be here within 15 minutes or so.
All right, then we'll go on to the next item, continuation of consolidation agreement discussion. I've been trying to get a hold of the town council to meet with him, but I haven't had any success, so we're gonna have to wait. I think we'll have to put on an additional 60 days for the contract so that I can get a hold of him, and by the time we get that done, we'll have another member probably on board.
Okay.
May I make a motion?
You guys all set with that 60 days? That'll take us into the end of January, and, you know,
Yes.
by then it should be hopefully resolved.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll make a motion to continue for 60 days.
Second it.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we have the World's End.
I just want to hit, last month we spoke to this, and I just want to speak to it again. I have a few calls and people asking me about it. Nothing has happened in World's End. We haven't really been doing anything yet, and we are working on the sewer regulations and also some other issues that we're looking at. And there are a number of issues that have to be completed before we can really start to proceed with that issue. And not that we don't want to, but once we get those regulations reviewed and posted and completed, we have some other issues. We have to go to the MWRA, petition them about the site itself, and we have not decided as a commission and as a group as to what area we really want to take in it. So we have to take a real hard look at that, because once we make the presentation to them, I think then we can, if we get that what we want, then we can go forward and other things.
I think they've got to come to us, too, as a...
Well, we already have a letter from the Board of Health, which I have a lot of faith in those folks down here. They know what they're doing, and I think we should proceed based on that letter. And if they need to send other things to us, certainly I know they'll do that. But I think it's sometime in the spring, perhaps after we get all squared away with this other stuff, we can start on it. There's going to be a significant cost to review World's End and to try to pull together all the necessary tasks that it's gonna take to at least find out what we're gonna have to do. Our pumping stations and infrastructure, are they compatible with this project? Do they need to be upgraded? I took the liberty of going through there recently, and I did notice that it's about 2,800 feet from the rotary up to the top of the hill there at Old Colony Hill, and then another 1,600 feet or so, almost 2,000 feet, just down Martin's Lane. And I went around to all the different side streets in the easement. We're looking at over 23,000 feet of pipeline proposed based on the layouts of the road. But that doesn't mean we're gonna have to do that. So it's very task-heavy, and it's gonna take a lot of time, and we're gonna need to appropriate some money, which we can't do this year, but we will next year, to make sure that we're on task and that we can go forward with the project. That's, you know,
You have any
I've had a
comments,
few-
Kurt?
few calls and stuff, you know?
Feasibility study.
Feasibility. yep,
Visibility.
Yep.
Kirk Schultz, member of the Hingham Board of Health, and I'm here not speaking on behalf of the Board of Health, I'm just one person. But I am intimately knowledgeable of what the board has done. And the first thing, I don't recall, well, I know for a fact, that the board hasn't sent the sewer commission a letter
Yes,
Yes,
regarding
oh, yeah,
this
no,
thing.
they have, they
Yeah,
have, correct.
regarding this particular issue, it's a different issue. What I'd point out is that one of the reasons that we need to work together is that, as you know, the sewering of the town is dictated by state statute.
Right.
And so, Chapter 83, Section 1C is something that we in the health department understand what our role is. And that is something that we're engaged in the process now of discussing that. And so that's why when I saw this was on the agenda, like, wow, what is going on with that? The initial process would emanate from the Board of Health, and that's something that we had started kind of a little bit more hesitant as of late for various reasons because of your shortage. But we'd like to get back into that. And it stems from some of the issues that we've seen with multiple areas of the town. And having served on the Master Wastewater Planning Committee, that area, World's End, is something that we've talked about as far as one of the priority areas, not the priority area, but a priority area. So I look forward to reporting on what that information brought out during the process in which we engaged in assessing the entire town, plus the Boards of Health responsibility under Chapter 83, Section 1C. So again, I don't know what letter you've received from the Board of Health,
From
being on the
Bruce
Board of
Cap-
Health.
It's from Bruce.
Okay,
Yes.
so you received something from Bruce
Yep.
Kaplan. I'm familiar
Yep.
with that. But as far as the Board of Health, you haven't received anything from
No,
us?
no,
Yeah.
just
No.
from Bruce.
Okay.
Just a little
from
overview,
Bruce.
you know.
And, you know, I have done some very, very preliminary looks at that project. It's a very, very large project. I also, quite frankly, want to look at alternatives for that location down there. There are a number of new technology on-site wastewater pumps and grinder pumps where it can be done on-site, and they are approved by the DEP, so I want to look further into that. There are a couple other issues that are alternate to that I'd like to take a look at. So it's not as if we're not trying to go forward, but, you know, we have some other business that we have to take care of first, and then we can certainly go forward. And I look forward to working with you guys, especially Bruce. I've known Bruce for many years, and I've had a great relationship with the Board of Health, so.
One of the concerns I have, and one of the reasons that you're going to see me next Thursday, is I was one of the original people that was on the Master Wastewater Planning Committee. And it seemed as though everyone had their little pet project that was on the board. You know, Matt MacGyver down the road, And I would hate to think that this has now become a pet project when it's not following the guidance that we talked about within the Master Wastewater Planning Committee, which is the policies that we're familiar with, and from, you know, what we know is the statutory requirement that we have. So I was a bit concerned, and I've mentioned this at a couple of our meetings, but we're going to work together with going through this process. Yes. But, you know, we're looking at this because of some issues about some unique systems that we approved in that area. But right now, you haven't received anything from the Board of Health. There's nothing which is in the works.
Again, I have a letter from Bruce
Yeah,
Capman.
Bruce Chapman, all right.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, the way the letter was constructed contained significant information enough for us to take a look at this. If you want to correspond further, please do. But we are going to take a look at it, and we're going to do our due diligence there, okay?
Yeah, and one of the things, I remember watching the Sewer Commission meeting on television from the last time. We had this lovely lady come in from, I think it was in Tom's neighborhood, up on Cottage Street. Right. And she had heard something from one of the sewer chairmen, and she had heard something from one of the board's attorneys. And so she was under the misunderstanding that this was policy and this was the way it was. And as you correctly pointed out, the board speaks for the board, you know. And so I would ask that if the Board of Health is moving forward with a Chapter 83, Section 1C initiative, it would be from the board and not from Mr. Caplan for anybody else.
Good. Now, when you were on the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Committee, you had the areas that were number 1 and 2, and I think that World's End and South Hingham 1 and 2.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think you've seen that, But there are a number of areas that we had for number 2 and number 3. So those are things that moving forward eventually, that's something we need to work with together to look at sewering for these areas. And then, in what way? Is it going to be regional? Is it going to be Hull? Is it going to be MWRA? And so, again, we look forward to that particular discussion. Yeah. And Mr. Chairman, if I could, at the end of the meeting, I'd like to come and have a couple of statements.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman.
That's it, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep,
Any other comments on that?
you wanna get with Steve?
Yeah, Steve, you review the process for sewer regulations?
Yeah, so just as an update there, the last time we talked, we were gonna get together, and kind of have another work session.
Yep,
And, I wasn't able to hook up with Randy and you over the last few weeks, but what I'd like to do is set that up so that we can keep that ball moving,
after the first, all right.
if that's what works for you.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but my schedule from now till the end of the year is pretty tight. Okay, and I'm
I'm
sure
okay with it. I mean, I've
everyone
always
else
tried.
is too.
Yeah.
So if we could put that off until, first or second week in January, if that would fit
Yep, no, that would,
fit with everybody's, if you can arrange directly with Randy and Steve what a date would be, I would certainly be available, and,
I'll be available too.
or you can,
yeah, okay.
okay,
Yep.
great, that's awesome. I had a question for you, though, the appendix A, B, C, and D, you're working on all of that, is that correct? Appendix A, B,
Yep,
C, and,
and they're all
okay,
part of the document, yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them are, I forget specifically what each one is, but a
Yeah.
lot of them are just attachments of,
right,
that are referenced in the rules and regs, we've attached
Right,
the
right.
fog regulations.
Yeah, right.
Or,
Yeah,
some
okay.
other regulations that maybe the Board
yeah,
of Health.
because I have a copy of that with me, and it's all in yellow lines right now, so that,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
yellow, the document itself is
yeah,
yellow,
I've
so I had a
highlighted
lot
all
of-
the
yeah,
issues
okay.
that I wanted to discuss,
Yep.
Okay.
No, and that's what we need to kind
Great.
of wrap up. We got it to
Yeah.
that 75% point, and we
Yeah,
need to
okay.
wrap it up so that.
Okay,
so
great.
So then you can go through the process of publishing it and having it available for
Yeah,
comment.
it has to
and-
go on
and
the
so on.
website, and then we'll have open meetings, so,
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
so
thank
we
you,
need to get it to them.
thank you, Steve.
So I guess the next item on the agenda is Weston and Sampson contracts.
Do we know when those, are due to be renewed, Ed?
When are they due to come up?
What's that?
Your
The
contract?
Weston and Sampson,
So I think this
agreement.
is, a couple of things. So we have our annual agreement that comes up at the end of the fiscal year, and that is fine. I know, Randy, you were looking we had a vote at a meeting.
There's a vote at the meeting, but I never got a signed copy. The commissioners never signed it.
So what we did is we had an annual agreement for, FY14, and then we voted the commission voted to renew it. It's just $10,000 general consulting
right,
engineering.
yeah.
So we renewed it for this year, and through email, I had a verbal and enough paperwork to open the job. We had prepared an amendment that we had signed on our end, and at this point, we can't find one signed by the commission. So I brought two
No.
copies. I had emailed, did you,
I just have copies.
so I have two here signed by our office that would close the paperwork. I mean, we've already been working on this under the, agreements through the emails, but that, so that's what that is. That's basically,
That's the amendment one?
that, yeah, so it should be the same thing, yeah.
Yes, yeah, I just had copies too, of just the
So this
one signature.
expires at the end of the year?
This one, it's the fiscal year.
fiscal year.
So this started July 1st and it will end June 30th
June
of
3rd.
2015.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's the same, there are the same numbers and
Yeah,
same
and-
basic services
Yeah,
and.
yep.
Randy,
And
is
and
that-
again, it was voted.
all voted on.
It was voted and
Okay.
approved. There's
Okay,
just nothing
so-
in the
so we just need
file.
to sign
When
it?
it gets signed, you
Ah.
gave me the authority to give them the
Okay.
okay by email,
Okay.
but we never got the document to
Who
sign.
gave
Okay.
us the authority by email?
You told me to proceed with the contract
Okay.
in a meeting.
At a meeting? Okay.
Yes.
We just didn't have it that night to sign, I think is what happened.
We don't have to put this out to bid then, in other words?
No,
No.
no, this is an extension of the current contract.
actual executed one on the rules and regs.
Okay.
So I have a copy that I can present to you. So this one was signed by everybody. I just, for your files, so you had asked about that one also. So I have signed back in February. I think that's the on-call stuff is separate. Yeah, I see that's a separate item here. That's different.
And on call, is that call for bids being put out?
No, this is an extension of the current contract
For West, with West.
with Weston Sampson.
Oh, no, I'm talking about, okay.
Weston Sampson, we have them, we bid it out to begin with. They won the bid. They've been giving us service since that time. And now that this is an extension to that contract.
Yeah. Could we put it out to bid instead of having the extension or not?
If we don't, we have to.
Okay. I think I might like to do that.
You've already voted on the extension.
Okay,
So for this year, so this is, we're halfway through this year.
okay.
And
So
it was just brought to my attention this week that you didn't have the signed paperwork. I don't know what happened with the signed paperwork.
So
Again,
this goes to July, right?
So as of June 30th, that will expire, and then whether we go for an amendment for next year, that's when it's
It'll
up.
be in July when we come up for renewal, and what you're saying.
Yes,
Yes.
July
Okay.
1st is when it'll be up for renewal.
Right.
Let me sign this. Put a date on there.
Yeah. Today is December 10th.
Did we already vote on this on-call too, or not?
Yes. The on-call one?
Yeah,
No, we have not.
okay.
I did, no,
See,
we,
he's, this one
It's
is,
confusing.
It's
This is
confusing.
engineering services. This is
Right.
on-call
yeah, it says on call
wastewater
engineering,
consulting engineering
but he's
services.
confused with the on
So the
call.
thing later on is about the on-call.
Okay.
For your I and I
This is the
work.
same thing, it expires in
different.
July too?
That's engineering,
This is
professional
general
consulting
engineering.
services for the
General.
year. We
Okay,
have, I did a peer review for Steve, I help with a peer review, I come to the meetings here and we talk about different things and whatever other items come up.
so the both of them are for 10,000, right?
It's the same one.
It's the
Same
same
one.
one, you need
Okay.
to sign two.
Okay. Lousy pen.
Is it working?
Yeah, I think it'll work.
Okay. Ready, get it, go grab your pen there, this,
Sure.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's working now, yeah, let me see.
Hold on to it.
You're gonna need it.
I'll write myself a letter right now, before he takes it back.
I'll do the-
Now, do we have to CC you guys on that with those,
No, one copy for them.
one's for them,
We'll
okay?
we'll deal with it after the
okay.
meeting.
I can come get it right now.
Okay, all right, we just wanna, I just wanna make sure that we're getting it in the right place. Okay. Great, okay.
That's-
That,
Just a formality.
yeah, thank you.
So the next item on the agenda is on-call sewer service
We
contract.
still have another
we
Weston
just-
and Sampson,
Well, you gonna give it?
we have the I and I.
Okay, so
Annual
this is,
sewer
so
program.
this is the annual sewer program, so the work we've been doing with the I and I work is is up for renewal. Is that the agreement or is that the amendment?
That's the,
Agreement.
that's the agreement
Okay,
for FY 16.
okay.
What does this come under?
That comes under the I&I program,
It's funded MWRA?
All the
MWRA.
stuff with the MWRA and all the
That-
work we've been doing
That
with
doesn't have to go out to
investigating
bid or anything?
No,
This is the, so you've got this targeted, you've got this annual program where you're going through the system systematically, the sewer system, collection system. You have somebody do the TV inspection of a certain area, and then that contract is where we come in, we review the tapes, make recommendations, secure funding from the MWRA, and then the things that do go to construction, we help when Steve needs help with the oversight. That's kind of, and we've been doing that for the last 2 years.
We don't have to put that out to bid then, right?
No, not for the engineering services.
62,500,
How much?
625.
Okay.
Three copies?
There's three of those.
Let me see that pen of yours. Kinda noisy next door, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go, and there's your pen.
Yep.
Liz?
Yes, thank you. You have
So we get that squared away then, I guess, right?
Yep, that's done.
So I guess the next item is on-call sewers.
Yeah, we just took care of that.
Okay.
No, that was the.
No, that was the
John-
I&I.
That's I&I,
Oh,
it's
I&I.
different, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is the on-call.
On-call.
Oh, this is the on-call.
Sewer
Yes.
service
And
contract
I
extension.
came in estimate 5 for National Water Main here. That has to be signed.
We can do that later.
Okay.
I need, what we have to do is to notify the contractors for the on-call repair, cammering, and the non-dig repair. We have to notify those companies that, and give them an extension letter to the contract. I just want the board to vote, if they would, to extend the contract, and I can send them a letter to do so, which the contract is up on December 31st of this year. So there is no price increase as of this year, so we'd be covered for all of next year. And then we could extend it for a third year, but there is a possible increase there, and that would have to be negotiated.
Can this on-call go out to bid too?
This went out to bid.
No, I mean, again,
It can, but it's a long process, a couple of months, and we won't have anyone under contract to do the work.
Yeah, the only thing with the on-call, it was originally supposed to be for emergency. And I think the scope of the work has gone beyond that. And a good example was Beach Avenue, the 11 manholes over there that had to be done. Now, I don't think that was an emergency, and yet we gave out the contract to the on-call, and it was $70,000. And we had manholes done on North Street for $2,000 apiece. So, I mean, there's a big difference in the cost.
Two totally different
Hey,
things.
no, I think it's a lot of money, though, that we're spending without putting it out to bid.
Well, it is put out to bid, that's what this contract is. So, when we come, that was all through the I&I program, which is a 55% of it was paid by the MWRA. That was part of the I&I program, which that's what the cammering and any work that needs to be done is through these contracts. That's all through the I&I program.
But we never found out that we had I&I there specifically.
But we,
Did we?
well, we did find a leak. We did find some leaks. But we still had to have to repair them, to inspect them, so we could find for future inspections.
Yeah.
We had to raise them for future inspections to see if we do have I&I, because we didn't open that for what, 30 years? 20 years, 30 years?
The big thing with the consolidation agreement, we were supposed to work together. You used to have somebody that did the manholes, repaired them. You don't have any more, and excuse me a minute, let me talk.
Sure.
MWRA has a program so that you could send somebody there and have them in a session and learn how to repair the manholes, and it would save the town money. This way, you're putting everything out to bid, and it's costing the town money in the long run. So that's the way I look at it.
You done?
Yeah,
Okay, we could do that.
yeah.
Then we would also have to buy special equipment to get out onto that beach, where this company does it on a regular basis.
But you have a lot of other manholes in the town too that need work too. Instead of sending it out,
And we do that work, we do it regularly.
you
not
don't repair the manholes anymore.
Yes, we do. We absolutely do. It depends on our workload. It depends on the DPW's workload also, and what actually has to be done. And one thing, if it's a confined space entry, my guys aren't trained on confined space entry, as far as that goes.
They should be.
Well, we don't need confined space entry on the manholes that we do, and I do have plans to send some of my men to go to confined space entry, and I have in the past, but not recently.
I think in the supervisor's duties that he's supposed to have certification for confined space. You do?
Crew does.
Okay,
We do.
all right.
And we raised a manhole, the crew raised a manhole just 2 weeks ago on Bradley Woods Drive. We raised one to grade that was below grade for 30 years. As part of that job at 12 Bradley Woods Drive that you saw the letter to, that was part of that job, was us raising, and we had to do some confined space work just this week, on Monday. We were down in Fort Hill Street. Dave Beaucaire was 15 feet down, inserting the camera into the line. We've got all the confined space air monitoring. We fill out all the permitting. We've got a record of all of it.
Well, how come when the manholes on North Street, you people didn't repair them, you had put them out to bid?
The technology that's being used now to waterproof with the H2S and the chemicals that are coming in, we're not trained for that specifically. We don't have guys that build benches and inverts on a regular basis. Can we do it? Perhaps, if you want to move in that direction.
Yeah, I think, you should look into maybe what MWRA has to offer as far as training programs there. Maybe you could do it,
We can look into it.
All right. Do you have any comments?
Well, I think, when I observed the manhole operation with the contractor over on the beach, it's a fairly technical exercise to excavate all that back first, okay? And then they clean it and pull the manhole frame and everything else off, and they reset the frame and the cover. And then they have this fabric, this special fabric. They put some adhesive on there, they put the fabric on, and it has to be heated, okay, until it starts to shrink in, and it forms an occlusive seal, especially where there's a joint.
Yeah.
And it's a real high-end technology, and I think especially along the beachfront there, where the tide comes in and out constantly, I think that's a good technology to use.
Yeah,
I think that's above and beyond what we should expect from our DPW and our SOAR. I think those things should be done by professional people that do it all the time, okay? And that's how I feel about it, and they did an excellent job. I watched 3 or 4 of them over there. Steve was also able to camera all of that, and you're done with that, right?
We
And
just finished, that's part of my
Just,
supervisor's
that's part of your report.
Is that all done, the beach?
Yeah, and also, they did find some infiltration that that has to be taken care of,
Quite
so.
a few runners in the manholes themselves.
Yeah, so I think it's more economically feasible to do that, have the contractor come in that's capable and qualified to do that, and be done with it, okay? If we take that portion of DPW, okay, that's not trained to do that, it's a waste of time.
Well, what I'm saying is the MWR already has a program that they can train them.
Well,
Why don't we look into that?
well, Randy said he will look into it.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if it's that specific. A lot of those guys have to be certified now, okay, to do that kind of work. Am I not correct on that, Randy?
Yes,
That there has to be a lot of certification
that
and
was kind
training.
of specialized work with
Yeah,
with what they
exactly.
had.
So that,
Mario used to do them, didn't he?
not
Yeah,
not bad though.
he did the DPW catch basins,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's different technologies
Yeah.
and
Well,
different
right.
resins and whatnot they use,
Yeah.
and sealants.
Yeah, and some of the new sealants and some of the things, they used to podge the manholes inside with this, but now they do things differently. And as I've seen it done and everything else, it's pretty slick actually, how they do it. And,
Excuse me 1 minute, I
Yeah.
got an alarm.
yeah, okay, go ahead, Stevie. So,
Yeah, I know there's an outfit, Savison, that does it. They have a machine that goes,
yeah, well, these guys had all the equipment.
You know,
They had everything. And,
I'll look into it when I go to the MWR meeting, see what they have for programs there on it.
Sure.
But when the rush is on, to do all the paving and all the other work that the town wants to complete and budgets for in that course of the construction season here, we have to be able to have some additional help from the outside. And if we have a good contractor that knows what to do and he's safe and,
Well, yeah, I was trying to
He's
go with the idea
technically
that
good.
we were merging to try to save money, and if they do some work that would normally be outsourced,
We do that.
yeah, they do a lot of their own work.
We do a lot of the own work.
Yeah.
We do raise manhole covers. We do those types of things. We repair your vehicles. We've saved probably $20,000 to $30,000 in the 3 years, if not more.
What Street, you guys raised all those frames and grates down
Absolutely.
there and all the manhole
But
covers?
when it comes to specialized work, like working on manholes out on the beach, number one, we don't have the equipment. And number two, I just don't have that amount of manpower to get out there and do that work. But if it's in the street out here, yeah, we might be able to do it. We have to assess it first. And we can go forward as long as it's cost effective.
All right, I'll look into it, and MWR, when I go to the next meeting, and
Sure.
find out what they have.
So, back to the,
That I program's going pretty good. I observed another one over on Downer Avenue. The guys are really picking stuff up and, they're doing a good job over there. That new TV's working really
yes,
well.
it is.
So that's great. And that's a savings too, Wade.
Yeah, I
That
know.
TV, boy, I'll tell you, that's paid for itself probably already.
So, back to the original,
Yeah.
as long as you guys agree, I will extend the contracts for this year, and we can look into it probably in September or October next year, if you guys want to bid it out, and that would give us time to bid it out.
We can't bid it out this year?
If we bid it out this year, we will not have a contract in an emergency situation.
Okay.
Can
I still like to look into bidding it out this year.
2 weeks ago on a Saturday night, at midnight, I got a call about a grease blockage on Crow Point Lane. 100%, there's water in the road, block solid. I had National Water out there within 2 hours to jet and clear that line for me. I need somebody to call.
I agree with that. I mean, we have to have someone on call it. And here it is, the 10th of the month, to try to put together some kind of a special services contract right now. I mean, we're not gonna do it. We'd have to put the onus on them, or have Weston and Sampson draft something up. And now we have a tight window where by the 31st of this month, we would at least have to have all the bids in. And I think it's too tight to try to do that.
And, you know, my point being, is what I've seen is National Water is a good company. They're big, they're able to come in here cheaply. I mean, the last bid proved it.
How much left do we have in their contract?
They came in, I don't,
How
off
much
the top of
time?
my head, I don't know.
It's time and materials.
T&M, okay.
But, you know, you can't put a price on them being there in 2 hours on a Saturday night and get that done for us.
I just reiterate, I think what Randy said, so you bid it, and we helped you put the package together, and one thing you did when you bid it is you locked their price in for 2 years. So when these guys bid it over a year ago now, or a year ago now, they had to know that the prices they were putting in had to be good for a minimum of 2 years, and then within the contract is the ability for both parties to agree to a third year if the relationship is good, and then there is the ability to talk price if the contractor wants to negotiate the price a little bit. So, when you say you should put it out to bid, I'm just reminding you did put it out to bid, and you put it out to bid with the idea that it was for a 2-year period.
Okay, so the 2 years is,
You're going into your second year now, but you could get out. You have an out. At the end of 1 year, you have an out if you want it. So what Randy is doing, and you guys would be doing, is sending a letter saying we're gonna exercise year 2 at the prices that you put in last year, as per the contract.
Steve, what was the cost now, of National Water Main coming out and doing that?
About $5,000.
See, I mean, the most we've ever had in the past is the main on Lincoln Street, $30,000, so I mean,
And they were there in 45 minutes, because they were under contract.
yeah, but they didn't do anything until, how long? Quite a while.
They had to, no,
Because you had
they
a,
did, but let me
you had a
give let me
surge
give
on
you an
Donner
example.
Avenue.
Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
And this is kind of why we went this route, is on Kimball Beach Road that was 3 years ago, okay, which wasn't really a great big job like Lincoln Street. We found out on, I believe it was Sunday,
Found out the hard way that it cost a lot of money.
and then it didn't actually get repaired. That was about, I think, $27,000, if I remember correctly. 35,000. So we found out on a Sunday, okay, couldn't get a contractor in there until Wednesday, and then we had to pump that the whole time. Now Lincoln Street, we found out, I don't know, what,
It was about 1 o'clock in
One-
the afternoon, and
yeah.
we were digging before dark.
right. And they were there, they had their equipment there, and they started before dark, because they were under contract. Kimball Beach Road, we had to call around for at least 3 contractors, and their equipment wasn't available. Now, under this contract, they have to be available, because that's what the contract says.
But if they're not available?
They are available. If they don't, then they pay us whatever we, I don't know, how is that worded, Steve?
And, I mean, the difference in cost, whatever you incur,
Whatever we incur, they have to eat, so.
yeah, they have certain timeframes that
This is,
that they
this
have,
is,
and they had to
this
agree to
is
that
an
when they did the
this is
job.
insurance.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We don't have to, if we don't use this, then we don't pay for it. But it's done legally, we're under contract, and they're there if we need them. And so far, in this past year, we've needed them on several occasions. So,
What about our asset management program? How far has that gone as far as indicating areas from the capital budget where we should be spending the money on our infrastructure?
We're moving right along. That's what you signed was year 3 of that asset management program. That's
Yeah.
what we're talking about, the I&I studies. And, we're moving into the next area of Camry and getting ready to go. So,
I'd like to talk about some flow meters too.
I think Steve's got, on his supervisor's update, he can update you on where they are to date.
This another year, and then after that, we'll look in to see what,
Well, what we gotta do, and we will remind you, make sure this is in there, is that we will remind you in September to talk about this, so we can move forward and have time to bid it and be all set for January of the next year. I don't wanna wait till December,
okay.
but do it prior, so if we do go bid, we'll have plenty of time to get everything in and all set up.
We can do that.
The other thing I'd like to lament about Lincoln Street was, that contractor that we have under contract come in and actually fiberglass lined both ends of that pipeline because it had continued to break. It's brittle pipe, it's that old cement pipe. Those guys were terrific. They laid the plastic out, they laid the fiberglass out, they
That
laid the
National
resin
Water
out, and,
That was National that did that,
Na-
Myron, if I remember
yeah,
correctly.
that's right,
It was
Nash,
about
that's
minus
right.
17 that night.
yeah, it was
You
about
were out
minus
there.
17, because I was out there
We
watching
did
them,
what,
just
150
rubbernecking,
feet, 70
yeah.
They did
And
the same thing in Bradley Park,
feet in
too,
each direction.
right?
so, I mean, that's a very valuable resource there, and we have to
Okay.
continue that one way or
We'll
another.
go for another year on it.
Well, yes, I think we should, and if it goes in another direction after that, so be it, but I mean, for now, we need these services.
So could you just vote on that? And then
Sure.
I'll send out the letters.
Sure, I'll make,
We don't
sure.
have to say anything?
Okay, I just make a motion to,
It's just an extension, but I just wanna make sure that you guys approve
okay,
it.
I'm gonna make the motion to extend that, Ed,
Okay.
okay?
Make a motion on-call service, contract service?
Yes,
You make that motion?
yes, I'm making that motion,
Okay.
okay? All, you wanna vote on it?
Yeah.
Okay, you go first.
All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
okay, all right,
Thank
okay,
you.
thank you. All right.
These are the, just a relationship, I know you got this in email, so these are the original letters is all.
Oh,
Just copies of those.
Yeah.
You've already got this through email, the document.
Yeah, we
So
got
that's
it.
just a sign. So that's the same thing that you got through the email,
Excellent.
that's all.
That also improves our customer service window, Ed.
You think
when
so?
do the- Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're minimizing
Well,
the
I just,
downtime
I'm
for
looking
the
out after the
customers.
ratepayers, that's what I'm
Yeah,
looking at.
those are the customers, the ratepayers. We have
Yeah.
to look out for their rates, but we also have to look out for the quality of service
Yeah.
also.
Yeah,
And I think that quality of service is, with Steve and Randy, they've done, I think, a pretty damn good job there, so I'm
okay.
happy.
I guess we got now the supervisor's report.
Pretty briefly, we wrapped up the FY15 camera inspections, the beach easement and all that. We're in the process of reviewing that footage now to see what repairs are needed. And I can tell you right off the bat, the beach easement is leaking at the manholes.
Where?
The beach easement. Those manholes are leaking at right where the inverts come in. We're gonna take care of that.
That'll come out of the INI?
That'll come under the INI, and that will also come under the 2575. So we'll be putting in 25, MWRA is gonna put in 75%.
How much have we got left in there to go in that?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
We're supposed to be in a better position once we
Well,
use so much funds, right?
Right, there's about, I think there's about,
400 or?
no, there's about, under the 75, I mean, the 55-45, I think there's like $60,000 left. We've expended that allotment of money. Yeah.
Pool, whatever the previous.
And the next pool, I think, is 300,000, around 300,000. And then we go into get that money, and it's a 75, 25. We put up 25% of it, and then they give us 75%.
That's a better position.
Oh, it's
for
much
us.
better.
Yeah.
And then it will be the same thing for next year, that allotment of money. So that's where those I&I funds, that the contract for next year, that's where those funds will be going.
Randy and I are working with Weston and Sampson as far as flow metering and the way that's gonna work. Randy, you wanna opine on that a little bit?
Weston and Sampson has basically came to us with a program to help us with I&I. And what they're going to be doing is metering, how many stations? 11 of them? Metering 8 stations. And these meters basically have a program that go along with them, so we can see what the stations are doing on a momentary basis.
Yeah, the logging.
Basically data logging,
Yeah.
but it's all done through the internet.
What stations are they gonna do?
What they've done is they've broken the system down into 8 quadrants that will flow into the main station going out. So you're gonna have gravity meters getting the flows coming down into the stations. You're gonna have, not mag meters, what are the, it's mission controls, yes, thank you. Mission controls monitoring the flow going out of the station. We're gonna have rain gauges, so we're gonna be able to see what's coming in, what's going out, and where the peaks.
What stations you doing?
You had to ask. I know there's South Station, Broad Cove,
Now,
Uh,
Broad
wh-
Cove is the main, you know, is
House-
90% of our flow.
House Street, I believe, and
Right.
Bel Air.
How-
We're gonna put one,
In,
we're gonna,
Station Street.
Mill Street. We're gonna put one,
Street. Sorry.
I believe we're gonna, do, everything in Crow Point, all of them in Crow Point. We can't touch Ware River because it's not MWRA. So,
It'd be interesting to see what Broad Cove,
well, not only this, but
you know, that's 90% of the flow.
we can also use this system for alarming. So we may be able to do away with the alarm panels and save cost on that. And it will be a rent-to-own.
We get rid of the alarm company that we have too, or?
Excuse me?
We get rid of the alarm company, or
We,
what?
we could.
That's something that we have to evaluate.
It's an emergency, you have to have something response, right?
There is funding it.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's gonna be evaluated as we go. That's one of the benefits of this system.
So what's the cost of the system gonna be? Do you have any idea?
So, okay, good, thank you.
I am not sure at this,
I believe they're gonna cover it.
yeah, the I&I it's coming under the I&I program,
Alright.
yes.
That's good.
So that will be linked in at the DPW office.
Actually, yes.
Okay, so all that data that's being transferred will come into a
Central Station?
central station in the
Basically,
DPW?
we'll be able to,
Monitor.
access it through a website.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
And I'm still working with Weston and Sampson and the company, and we haven't got down to the nuts and bolts of it yet, but this is the plan.
Can we get that over Comcast, or do we have to have a dish, or any idea what?
No,
the-
it would be through a regular internet hookup.
Oh, okay. All right.
In a perfect world, we may be able to do the station checks from the office.
So that when you won't have to check them as
Taking
frequently?
No going in, right?
As frequently?
Correct.
You know, hopefully that's how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And, what do you think the safe margin is for entering those stations to look what's going on? Once a week, maybe, when you start this, or is that,
Twice a week, I think it's
Okay.
it's safe.
okay?
I mean, if needed, if we have bad weather or if we have things
Yeah.
going on.
That's something that we have to look at. I mean, I wouldn't trust it right away. We're gonna have to,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to get comfortable with it, know what its limitations are, and then we'll
no
make this,
telemeter, right?
right, we'll make our decisions from there.
Give us an idea what
That's
the
good.
cost is gonna be, will you?
Sure.
Okay.
Great. Is that it, Stevie?
That's it.
That's it?
Okay, Ed, before we wrap up here, I'd like to tell everybody that Randy received a letter, a nice letter, actually, from Mr. Crowther over in Bradley Woods, at number 12 Bradley Woods, about Steve, who did a fantastic job over there of helping out resolve the problem. And I've heard it from other people too, that, you know, Steve is doing a great job out there, and he's very customer service orientated, so I think we're fortunate enough to have somebody like Steve. But I just want to let you know, Steve, I have a copy of the letter. Congratulations, you're doing a great job. DPW, sewer guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, will you? Make us look good.
Liz,
Just wanna let you know, Zero Rockland Street's all set. They did get their lot
Okay.
divided, and
Okay.
they've paid for both sewer connections.
What about Zero Rock, is he all set?
He's all
Yeah,
set.
he's all
He has,
set.
he's paid for the two
We didn't have to vote
connections.
for that then.
No, he went and got
Went through the application process?
he went through the
Yeah.
process, he
Paid
got
the
the lot
betterment?
split.
Paid the betterment, we,
Paid both betterments.
That's good, he
Two.
must be happy,
Well,
Christmas present for
He
him.
paid the fee.
He paid the fee,
yeah,
Well,
paid the
yeah.
fee, the entrance fee, yeah.
the
Yeah,
entrance fee,
That's
right.
good. And,
that was long overdue.
well, it was easily resolvable, but, I think the guy was getting a lot of bad information from somebody.
Oh, I know what I
Yeah.
have. Yeah, I have the bill is ready to go out Friday, so I have the commitment that needs to be signed. So it's $1.2 million. It's going out on Friday.
Is that MWRA?
That's our bill, our sewer bill, our
Sewer
first
bill.
Okay.
preliminary bill that's going out, so that
Okay.
has to be signed.
Okay.
That's just the commitment for the town accountant, saying how much that we billed, and that's all the
Let me
bills.
see
that
the
are going.
pen.
Here, Ed.
And I do have, 2 abatements as well. One for Wampatuck, they had another leak, and I got documentation from Aquarian and from the,
Who's that now?
is it Wampatuck State
Yeah.
Park?
Huh?
They had a large leak
Who's that now?
Wampatuck State Park.
What was that?
on Union Street.
Do we have a meter on I coming in to the system up there at all from the Wampatuck State Park?
They have a meter, don't they, Steve?
They have a meter that's not working, and they're they're refurbishing their station. They're getting rid of the gatehouse, they're moving the station across the way, and I've requested that they put a meter in.
We gotta have that, because we're losing a lot of money. I mean, we're paying for that I that's coming into our system. We gotta have that meter. So look into that and let us know at the next meeting, would you?
Actually, we've got Weston and Sampson and John Ellis working on that for us to ensure that the engineering firm is doing that.
Okay. You can look into that, Steve, right?
Yeah, he's got, one of the guys from our service company.
Yeah, because, hey, if we wanted it, we could go back at them, and there's a lot of money over the years that's gone into our system.
Well, they own the line too right now, so,
No, that's our line, that's not theirs.
no,
No, it's theirs.
that's
What,
theirs.
the one that comes down Union Street?
Yeah, I don't think we own it.
I don't think we
They
own it either.
repaired it. in the
Is that right?
past.
Yeah,
There was a leak at Ware River, and they're the ones responsible for the repair. We
Okay.
were not.
All right, so I have the 2 abatements, one's for Wampatuck. And I have letters from Aquarian and from the contractor who fixed the repair. So we did a estimate over the past 3 years and gave them an abatement. I have the same thing for 29 Elm Street, the same thing, a letter from Aquarian.
so the water went through the Aquarian's meters or through the meters at the gatehouse there?
But it never went out, the sewer, because it was a broken pipe.
Okay,
And they
It's a
had-
service leak.
It was a
Service
service leak, and it was a big service leak. They had a they usually, probably 7,600 cubic feet. It was 2,068,
oh, yeah.
that one reading. It
Okay.
was crazy. And then I have a smaller one here for
Lane?
29. Oh, those are like, that's 60 cents. That's, that was interest that the treasurer, when a bill came in, they had to take off. It's only 60 cents. And that's 29 Elm. The same thing, they had a leak, a letter from Aquarian, so we followed suit with them and gave them a credit, an abatement. One last thing, we had a sewer refund for $1,000. The Hingham Tennis Club was going to hook up to sewer, and they decided not to, and they had already paid the $1,000 connection fee. So it's just returning the $1,000 to them. Yeah, they're not gonna hook up, they've decided they're not going to. And that's all.
Anything else, Liz?
That's all I have.
That's
Randy?
it? Any other business?
Randy? Stevie?
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Kurt
you
wanted
could?
to,
You want
to
to-
speak again, so.
Yeah.
Kirk Schultz, 65 Prosper Street. I didn't say that the first time I was up. A couple of months ago, when there was a joint meeting between the Selectmen and the Sewer Commission on looking at the replacement of a board member who had resigned, I made the mistake of not coming in and introducing myself to the Sewer Commission. I mean, I know you, Ed. I didn't know Eric, and I felt embarrassed about that when I walked in. I saw him for the first time. So I don't want to make that mistake twice. So I'm here tonight to come in and introduce myself because I'd like to help out with the Sewer Commission. I'm going to be there next Thursday and ask that you consider, along with the Selectmen, having me come in for the remaining component of Eric's term. I think I bring a lot to, I would bring a lot to the Sewer Commission. I have a wealth of expertise in writing and regulation. I think that's quite well known. But more importantly, I think I'd bring a unique perspective where the term is a dedicated term for someone else, and I don't know what I would do at the end of that term. And I think it would depend upon what happens with the water company, the sewer water. And if that were something that we're going to do in a combine, I probably would leave the Board of Health and move into that, because that would be something that would be quite interesting, and not only that, extensive and new. I think myself as being on loan for you guys until the term expires, then go through the normal process of having the election. So I'd ask that you consider me next Thursday. I know the last time that you were there, the Selectmen did a lot of talking, and you didn't get a chance to ask me any questions. So I thought, I'm going to come tonight, and so if you have any specific questions about myself, my qualifications, my perspective, I just gave you some, I'll answer that right now. That way, you can spend the time, have the Selectmen go through and do the talking that they normally do. So I just thought I'd come and tell you that, and I appreciate, again, your consideration, and anything that you'd like to ask me, I'm here to answer it. And you want to throw me off? Go ahead.
No, thank you for coming in anyhow, thank you.
Appreciate
You know,
your
We
comments.
appreciate your comments. I think it would be most appropriate to question at the joint meeting with the selectmen, okay? That's under their preview, not ours, so it would be more appropriate at that meeting to question, okay? They will allow us, they will
Well, we have a
allow.
vote in it, but,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we'll consider it, you know,
Yeah,
when it comes up.
That's fine. I just didn't know
Okay.
if you had any questions for me tonight, because you could ask questions whenever you'd like, so.
Oh, I thought you presented yourself well at the last meeting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I thought you presented yourself well at the
Yeah,
last
Thank
meeting.
you.
yeah, did very well. It was very
Yeah,
well done.
Bob and I sat out in the hallway.
Yeah,
We did a
we're
lot of
talking.
talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I've been watching the meetings for about 6 months now. I haven't been able to attend because you meet at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I'm thrilled that you're having evening
Yeah.
meetings so the public can attend. And I'm looking forward to helping out in the way I can. And then if you want to keep me, we do have this thing. I'd like to help out there too. And if you think that the job's done, we can move on, it'd be a perfect opportunity for that.
Just continue on the Board of Health. It's very important for somebody like you on the Board of Health. There's a lot of issues coming up over the next 5 or 6 years that you're probably well aware of, other than World's End. There may be some other places, as you've already mentioned, that may need soaring, and there may be other opportunities during that time. And certainly, some of the things that I'm looking at, and I have expressed this earlier about alternatives to pipeline work, like on-site treatment and so forth and so on, the most of it is approved by the DEP. You know, you can't put something in the ground that's not approved by the DEP. So I've been following that and researching a lot of it, and there are a lot of companies out there that are producing some very high-quality wastewater, on-site wastewater treatment plants for residential and commercial. So I'm gonna follow that up. I wanna follow through on that and find out more about it. That's a pretty good alternative in some instances and in some applications, all right? So,
Yeah. One of the perspectives I bring, I've been with the Hingham State government, not as long as Ed, but since 2002. And so I've represented the the sewer before the DEP. I'm quite familiar with that, and as you know, I am the only member who was on the Comprehensive Wastewater Master Plan Committee the entire time, chaired it twice. So I'm quite familiar with that, and I mentioned a few statutes when I came in today. So that plan is essential for any expansion of the sewer system, and even hook-ins for the sewer system.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think about putting in a treatment plant in the town, sewer treatment plant?
Well, I know that the Master Wastewater Planning Committees made the recommendation to the Sewer Commission that as far as South Hingham, that we would look at a on-site, a regional plant because of the two things. Because of the cost on the calculations that Roger had done of hooking into MWRA in that area, number one. And second, and most important, and what we learned, oh, you weren't there. What we learned before the DEP is that they weren't going to look favorably on us expanding our dewatering of the Weir River watershed, because the water would be going out of the watershed through the MWRA, and if we did a regional plant in South Hingham, that would be bringing the water back into the watershed. And so I think that would probably be the only option that the state, I don't speak for them, would entertain. And so it also was a very a cost-effective option.
We'd be getting money too, instead of going the MWRA.
And that's why that alternative method, for instance, up in the industrial park, if you're gonna put some sort of a central treatment plant in South Hingham, one of the major issues up in the South Hingham Industrial Park is going underneath the expressway there, Route 3, with a pipeline. That's the only way you can get to South Hingham from that park. That's the only way you can get there, okay? You have to go under the highway. I know the Aquarian has a pipeline under the highway that serves the industrial park. You'll never get a permit to come across the bridge because I tried.
Yeah, jacking
But
pipes
it just,
under
it's
highways
not,
is a
yeah,
common procedure.
it's not, they just cannot allow utilities on an overpass like that,
Yeah.
okay? If it were a bridge, it would be a different story, but it's not, it's
But
just,
you're coming down with a skating rink though, with the plant.
well, I don't know where the central location for the plant would be, but
That's really
that's
about
one
the
thing.
18
But
acres.
I read in the paper recently that perhaps the industrial park's considering building a hotel and doing on-site treatment. And I thought that was a great answer for that whole area, as opposed just to the hotel. But, you know, we're not involved in that at this time, so.
Well, we are
just
involved
in my
because it is
opinion.
a sewer district. We have to create policies and a plan to attract business
Well,
into that
yeah.
area. Yeah,
Yeah.
and again, I was involved with that master
Yeah.
wastewater planning committee. As you heard the last meeting,
Yeah.
you didn't because you're out in the hallway.
Yeah,
Roger Fernandez and I, we actually wrote the last 3 chapters of that
Yeah.
because the money ran out from the money that was allocated by the town to the sewer commission for that particular project.
Yeah.
And so not only do I have an intimately familiar knowledge of the plan, I have a concern over the financial components. And I was thrilled to hear you talk about some of these contracts that we in the Board of Health, we have similar contracts that we bid out. So I was very keen on hearing what you had said, and I appreciate the diligence that you put into that. And I look forward to one other thing, since we're talking about money. The policies that you're working on for the Sewer Commission, have you given the Sewer Commission a copy for them to review on a draft?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a public document. May I have a copy of it? And so that would be something that you could provide to the Sewer Commission. If it's a working draft and hasn't been presented to them, that's a working document. But since they've seen it, it's now a public document. And so I'd like to be able to have a look at
so
that.
I'd say it's a working document.
Oh, no, by legal statute, by,
Well,
there's certain things that are
They're
working
working on
documents by
some of it.
law. Yeah.
I myself have gone through
Once you look
this.
at it, again, I've been on the Board of Health for a long time, and once you look at it, it becomes a public document.
Public record,
Yeah, so it'd be nice to get a copy of that.
yeah.
Yeah, just to
Give me a
see
copy
where
of
the
it.
money's being spent, so I don't know how they're
Okay.
being paid for that. I don't know, and if that's coming out of a contract where it's a, a salary thing that they are paid regularly, or is this something that they're being paid above and beyond what they normally would be paid? I don't know, but I'd like to know that also. Yeah, for that particular study that is.
When we complete the,
We have a $10,000 contract with
Yeah.
them,
Okay,
Consolidated.
for that.
so when we complete the draft, we'll get it to you as we are going to put it on the web, or do you, do you want the working?
I'd like to have it
copy?
early. I mean, I can make a request, a public document request for that.
Yeah.
You just, you know,
No, you don't have to do that. We'll
Okay.
get you something.
yeah, and again, I hope to be with you guys and helping out, so
Yeah.
at the same time that I make the request that, you know, I'd like to be there. I don't mean to be a stickler, but just, you know, that's my expertise, that's my
I will-
knowledge, and I'd like to be able to help out on the ground floor
I'll run
and
that
see if
down
we
and-
can,
I'll get
do
that copy
things.
of the policy and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
whatever we
I
have.
can go
we'll-
through your
we'll-
executive director,
Yeah.
and
It's not a big deal.
Thanks again.
thank you for having me tonight, I
Okay,
appreciate it.
thanks for coming in.
Yeah, and appreciate your vote. Thank you, guys.
I
That's
guess-
it, Ed.
Yeah, we're all set. We
Oh.
adjourned anyway, didn't
Yeah,
we?
let's adjourn.
No, you didn't.
No, we didn't? Oh, okay. I make a motion we adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor? Aye.
get that over to Randy.